Hey everybody, I am back again discussing review games. Okay, so in this video, this is not for simple stick in the sand games. I've already made those videos and you can check them out if you would like. This video is for when you're looking for that every once in a while complicated, fun game that you could do with older students. Those. We have created before relay race games, and so we would divide them into teams, whether it be 2 teams, 3 teams, whatever you want to do. We would divide them up into teams, and so what they had to do was, and I've made several different types of relay games. One was that when you say go, the first person in their team has to go and build something, like with these little blocks, like we would say something really simple, like build a tower that's 3 inches tall, something like that. So they would go, build the tower, run back to their line, and the next person would have to go, and the next thing would be you have to put the timeline cards in order, and then they would run back. And then maybe the last person would go, and they'd have to go to a room mom and answer a question or something like that. So that's really more for older ones. It's a little more complicated to set up and explain to them, but I use that for my master's class. And then if sometimes, too, you could team up with the master's tutor and the Besadarian's tutor and put a master's kid with a little kid to help them through this relay race. That works out sometimes as well, but really this game is more for the oldest kids. To do a little relay race is a little more complicated, and so then we would have the winning team got a point and we would start all over with a new relay race. So that is something a little more complicated that you could do with the bigger kids. Another one would be Jeopardy. You could take and make like out of a poster board, you could put your flashcards in there and do a Jeopardy game. The older ones usually understand that you're answering with a question. The little ones, Jeopardy is a little hard for them, so I never did that with the Besadarians. Another one would be Wheel of Fortune. So again, you can have your phrase up here. You could use Monopoly money if you wanted, if they wanted to buy a vowel and they're just trying to solve the puzzle. And so I would ask them a review question. Once they got that correct, then I always put them in pairs of 2. So if these 2 got the answer correctly, then we could move forward with their solving of the puzzle. And it was always worth more points or more money if they could solve the puzzle. And then also with any of them that are essentials and older, sometimes just bringing in a Mad Libs was fun. I would just bring in Mad Libs, and so they would answer a question, and once they got that right, then they got to pick whatever I had, a noun or a pronoun, adjective, whatever. You can make your own, or you could just buy some Mad Libs. Okay, so for a more complicated one with the older kids would be Latin tag. It works really great with cycle 3. So as we're learning the English versus the Latin, I would make index cards for each one. So it would say name, one would say name and one would say nomen, for example. And so I would mix these cards up. I would tape them on all of their backs. So they couldn't see what they had, but they could see what everybody else has, and they're trying to look around behind their back and they're trying to look at theirs. And so they had to, as quickly as possible, find their partner, their Latin partner or their English partner. And so it was always a race to see who came in first, second, or third, and so on and so forth. So that one was really fun. They giggled a lot. They had a lot of fun. It's really would only work for older students. It doesn't really work with the little ones. That's too hard for them. So that's what I would do. I would just use those index cards. They were flashcards that I had at home, but and during review game time, it was really fun to tape them to their backs and watch them try to find their partner. Okay, lastly is a game that I have created myself. It is called Room Race. And so for this game, you can see here I have made, let's see if I can get it in there. Yeah. So I made a room for each subject. And so what I did was in each subject, I had the flashcards for those questions, and I just used dice for them to be able to move around in between these. Once they could go any direction they wanted, but once they made it into the room, they could not leave the room until they got that answer correct. So I would put them in groups of 2 to work together with a partner, and so they'd roll the dice, maybe make it into geography, they could not leave this room until they got a geography answer correct. Once they got it correct, then they get, see how geography is orange, you can make it whatever color you want. Then they would get their orange, it was actually strips of construction paper, but I call them tokens. Then they would get their orange token. The goal was to get all colors, so all mastering all subjects, really. So that was it. Sometimes they'll get it right off the bat. Sometimes they're here for 3 turns, but you don't leave the room until you get it correct, and you want to get all of the colors to win with your partner. So that one obviously took me more time and resources to do, and then I have to explain it, but I use that for my master's class. And really, honestly, on that topic, you could really bring in any board game and use that in your class. And it's like, really, you would just ask a review question and then they would get to play their turn. So you could really incorporate any kind of board game. I had just created that specifically for CC. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I hope this gave you some review game ideas. I hope you guys have a lot of fun. I know that's the best and that's the funnest part of the day that all the kids look forward to. So if you have any questions, let me know, and share this if you know someone looking for review game ideas.